behalf of the entire Waterbury Board of Directors and the entire chamber in and of itself, because it's such a pleasure to have you with us on these occasions. It really gives our members and the leadership of the chamber such a fantastic opportunity to see what's happening in City Hall, see what your plans are, what we're facing, what we're dealing with. So the fact that you're spending valuable time with us on a regular basis means a great deal to us. So thank you for your time. Now, for those of us that do not know our fine mayor, he's been with us for a number of years now, since 2011. In fact, for those that may be new to the chamber or new to Waterbury, Mayor Neil O'Leary is in his fourth term, including his second fourth-year term. Previously, he served as our city's police chief from 2004 until his retirement in 2019. But then he didn't stop. He went on and actually was appointed to the city's Board of Education, where he served for more than 2 years. He's also served as 2 terms as the president of the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities. He has an associate degree at from Dean College in Franklin, Massachusetts, and a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice from the University of New Haven. But for those of us that generally know the mayor, we see his tireless efforts for the last 9 years for the city of Waterbury. So again, Mr. Mayor, thank you for your time. It is such a great pleasure to always have you with us, and we appreciate it. With that in mind, I'll open it up to your opening comments.
Okay, great. Hi, everyone. It's great to be here with all of you. So I guess what I'm going to try to do is give you an update on where we are with the COVID situation as it pertains to the city of Waterbury. Let you know some of the things that we've been providing to our community, and then do some citywide economic development discussion about projects that we have underway and where they are, and how COVID may or may not have impacted some of these initiatives. So I'll just kick right off quickly and start with COVID as it pertains to us today. So we have, since March 11th, we've had about 2,515 people test positive for COVID-19. Unfortunately, we did have 193 individuals who passed away from COVID. Out of those 193 individuals, 104 were in nursing homes. The average age breakdown of a COVID positive case is 48 years old. The average age breakdown of the 193 individuals who lost their lives was age 75. As far as how do we compare with number of deaths to Hartford, Bridgeport, New Haven, and Stamford, we have we're ranked second, unfortunately, in the number of deaths, but I'm not sure that their information is as up to date as what I'm providing to you today on Waterbury. But part of the reason for that is we have 200 more nursing home beds than any other city in the state. And so I think that probably tells a story there. We haven't had any deaths, fortunately, from COVID in quite a long time. And the number of hospitalizations has gone down dramatically. Unfortunately, over the last week to 10 days, though, we're starting to see significant spikes in the state of Connecticut as far as COVID positive cases. And we're also seeing a increase here in the city of Waterbury. I get daily notifications from the state Department of Public Health, as well as our local health department. All summer long, I was getting maybe 1 or 2 notifications a day about a positive case. Now we're up to about 5 or 6 and as many as 10 a day for positive tests. Now, you put it into perspective. There's also been a number, there are more tests being given each and every day now than there had been all summer. So we have to keep an eye on it. Obviously the state of Connecticut is expecting a surge. At least that's what the officials at the State Department of Public Health are expecting. So we'll have to keep a close eye on it. We are in school. We're doing a hybrid model. About 40% of our student population is going to school every day. But we have had to close a classroom here and a classroom there because of some positive testing. But stay tuned. I think we're doing pretty well, though. And the way I feel about this is every day that we have students in school, we get to prepare them for the day that we might have to close schools. And so we're really working hard to get them the laptops that are needed to get their homes online. So far, we've given out about 14,000 Chromebook laptops and worked with hundreds and hundreds of homes to get them up and running online and trying to engage their parents and educate their parents on the on the online aspects of virtual learning. So it's a challenge, but my hat's really off to Superintendent Ruffin, Dr. Ruffin, as well as our administrators and our city teachers done a great job. On that note, we've been feeding our high school kids since March 16th when the schools shut down. To date, we've distributed over 550,000 meals to our students here in the city of Waterbury. We also have distributed almost 50,000 meals to our senior population. So our centers are all closed. And so a lot of our seniors in the city, about 270 of them, relied on the senior centers for their nutrition. And so we've got this great group of volunteers who are dropping lunches off to our seniors each day. Well, actually on Mondays, we drop off 2 days worth of food, Wednesdays, 2 days worth of food, and then on Friday, 3 days worth of food to get them through the weekend. And I'm really proud of the efforts of all these volunteers. It's really an amazing effort each day, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, to see these folks show up at the senior center, pick up the food, and get them out to the homes. It's amazing to me. The student, from a financial perspective, the student food program is reimbursed 100% by the federal government. The senior meals are not. We pay, and we're out of pocket for the senior meals. Right now, we're out of pocket about $170,000 for that effort. We will continue to provide those senior meals until the COVID crisis is over and the senior centers reopen. We have an emergency operations center that's been open since March 11th. We were the first city in the state to open up an EOC center right away, and it still runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We actually were thinking about, a few weeks ago, we were thinking about cutting back the hours a little bit, maybe on the weekends. But then when we saw the spike in the infections starting to come our way, we decided to keep it open until further notice. So all anyone has to do is call 311 and they can get just about anything they need. And that's an amazing service that the city's provided. Through the collaboration with the United Way and other nonprofits, we have really made a difference in the lives of our people who have been impacted by COVID, either a family member or themselves by the infection. Waterbury Police Department and Police Activity League play a key role in the efforts to provide these families basic need supplies, hand-delivered basic packages to families and individuals who are required to stay home due to COVID quarantine. What do we deliver? We deliver everything from diapers to formula to medication to food to groceries. You'd be amazed at some of the things we've delivered, but we have done it, and we will continue to do so. And I got to tell you, I'm really, really proud of all the individuals responsible for taking care of our families, and I'm really proud of the efforts that the United Way has made to collaborate to make sure that our most disadvantaged families get taken care of. There's all kinds of protocols for the schools. I don't think we need to go into that, but I just want to tell you, I think we're in a good place with COVID. If we do see a surge again, our hospitals are amazing. They are ready. They have plenty of PPE. They have plenty of trained staff. They have plenty of ventilators if needed. And we're really good to go on that front. We're hoping that we don't see what we saw in March, April, and May, but if we do, we are prepared. The city, all of our employees are very well prepared. Our first responders are very, very well prepared and trained and ready to go. So I think we'll find ourselves in a much better place if we see what we saw in March, April, and May. So, be rest assured, I'm very proud of our tracking and our contact tracing team. Amazing. As soon as someone comes back positive, we have an investigative team in place working with the State Department of Public Health. And what they do is they trace these these people who have been infected, where they've been for the previous days up until their diagnosis. And we reach out to every single person that they've come into contact with to let them know that they were exposed and that they need to take the appropriate steps. And I think that effort in itself is really keeping a lot of the infection rate down. So it's all good. It's a unbelievable amount of work, and it's been happening 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. While most of us are home doing what we do, these folks are committed to watching out and make sure that we've got everything under control. Having said that, I'll jump right now into, the chamber. Obviously, you guys probably are interested in what's happening in the city of Waterbury from an economic development perspective. We feel really good about the projects that we have going on despite COVID. We have had a couple projects slow down because of COVID, but we haven't lost any projects because of COVID. But we have lost businesses. Dunkin' Donuts in downtown Waterbury at the Apothecary building closed, and Starbucks closed. And so those are two businesses that couldn't survive COVID. The rest of our restaurants are hanging on to the best of their ability. We're trying to, have people patronize them and support them and get them through this. And I think those efforts are paying off to some degree. But as far as the construction projects underway, we're still moving along. Most noticeable, you guys, would be, the Tiger project on Freight and Meadow and Jackson Street, and of course the train station improvements. We're really proud of the way the train station came out, and Freight Street is pretty much done. The new street, Jackson Street, that runs from West Main Street to Bank Street, is nearly completed and will be open soon. And the Meadow Street improvements are really nice. If you've been down that way, take a look. The statue around Father McGivney, new sidewalks, new plantings, and of course the Republican American building is all surrounded by all new sidewalks and then paving, and then that big dip in the road is gone. And so I feel like that's a really forward-moving project as we keep going. I talked about Jackson Street. I talked about Meadow Street, East Main Street. So you probably saw in the paper, it's a nightmare right now. Honestly, the infrastructure, the underground infrastructure is all the way back to the 1800s. And the water main is 109 years old. We're replacing everything in the ground. And the maps that are over 100 years old are not that accurate, quite frankly. We're finding a lot of things that weren't on the maps. And, it is what it is. It had to get done one way or the other. I was able to secure a $4 million grant from Governor Lamont to get this project going, and I'm really happy about it. But due to the underground infrastructure, the unanticipated underground infrastructure, the project is going to see, we're not going to be on budget. We've got a pretty good estimate that we're going to be about 20% over budget, which equates to about $1 million. But we do have a contingency fund in place, and we do have other buckets of money in different places that we'll be able to use if we need to. So it's not going to result in any increased taxes or anything like that. Prospect Street parking lot has been designed. That's the parking lot, of course, where the old Prospect Street ramp garage used to be. And it's going to be a surface parking lot that'll be accessible from Prospect Street, just up past the Immaculate on the right, and also accessible from North Main Street where the old Cena Bowling Alley property was. We took that property under summary foreclosure and merged it in with the ramp garage parking. And it's going to be very well lit, well secure parking area that we think will be great for our businesses in downtown Waterbury, as some people still don't feel comfortable parking in ramp garages. And it'll also provide support for the YMCA, the Matitech Museum, and of course the Immaculate Basilica when they have church on the weekends. The Library Park, phase 1, is underway and going very, very well. Phase 1 includes trenching of all utilities underground so that we can eliminate the above ground wires that are so obtrusive when hosting any sort of an event. It will also include more durable turf, new pathways, as well as upgrades and restorations to the gazebo and enhanced lighting. The anticipated substantial completion of this project is December 1st. The train station we spoke about, I'm really happy about that. It took forever to get that going, and you might all remember this, the SNET building lot that took us, about 10 years to demolish. We got it done, and we kept with it, and we got a lot of support from Senator Hartley, as well as Representative Berger on this project for the funding. So it was a good opportunity for us to clean up that area. 130 Freight Street is the infamous EWR complex. The city of Waterbury. This is one thing that COVID really slowed down. We were taking that property on summary foreclosure in the middle of March. COVID beat us to it. And here we are, September 30th, and the courts are still not open. And so we're hoping that they're going to open up in October, and that we'll be able to go through with the summary foreclosure on that property, because we already have $1.5 million in funding put aside through a state grant to take that old Anaconda building down. So it's a very blighted and very polluted site, but it's a great step forward, and it's right in the heart of downtown Waterbury. So we're excited to get going on that. Additional city projects that are going on is the unmet project, the 17 acres on South Main Street. We've demolished half of that property. We've decided to save a 220,000 square foot building with really high ceilings and lifts in the ceiling, cranes, if you will. We're putting a new roof on that building. We've had a lot of interest in that building from a number of different companies. So we're really excited to get the roof done. That'll be done by this winter. And then we've got interior work to do as far as environmental remediation and things along those lines. But I think we're going to have a good story to tell down there. Brass City Regional Food Hub is open. It's really been great down there. We're really proud of that, having that down in the South End. It's in a food desert, and we're providing a lot of produce, vegetables, and other food opportunities, not only for the immediate neighborhood, but also for the city at large. Cherry Street, we started the first phase of the demolition work at the Waterbury Clock Company. That is substantially completed as of now, and we're going to hopefully do more demo work there in 2021. 909 Bank Street, that pocket park that we're going to build over there in remembrance of Lisa Velez and Vincent Riddick, Officer Vincent Riddick. That's underway, and we're excited about that. The design phase is underway, working with the Brooklyn Neighborhood Association to figure out what they'd like in there. Hoffman BMW on Route 84 eastbound, you can see it. We're excited about that. It's a company that actually moved out of Watertown and is moving up to Traps Drive in Waterbury. That building is 25,000 square feet. It's going to create about 50 new jobs, and I think that's a good story. Drew Marine is Frank Montero's company. They've done a $3 million renovation at 400 Captain Nimble Drive. They're going to be open and manufacturing, we hope, by November, and creating many job opportunities as well. King Industries is another unbelievable story. They end up buying a 56,000 square foot building right next door to their property down on Chase River Road, which was the, what was that building down there, Mac? The old Coca-Cola building, owned by Napoli. King Industries bought that building for $3 million recently. And it's wonderful because they're going to put the research and development facility in that building now. They also have 3 other buildings under construction as we speak. And a 4th building has been completed, and a 5th building will go into the ground in the spring. So it's going to be an amazing complex down there in Chase River Road. We're excited about it. A lot of jobs, a lot of tax revenue, a lot of grand list growth. Cumberland Farms, a brand new huge Cumberland Farms at 1481 Watertown Avenue is going to open up October 15th. Again, this is all new to the grand list. 1387 Watertown Avenue is another strip plaza with a Citgo gas station new to the grand list. So we're pretty excited about some of these projects, and we were really worried that a lot of the projects that we discussed would be put on hold because of COVID. But quite frankly, the one project that's really near and dear to my heart that is on hold because of COVID is 36 North Main Street. We were able to secure a $10 million grant to do that building over. We were hoping that either UConn or Post would go into that building, you know, to build upon our what's happening in downtown with the, you know, the University of Connecticut, of course, with we got the 4-year allied health degree program now in their curriculum, so the kids can go there 4 years instead of worrying about going to stores. And then we're also, you know, formed this unbelievable partnership with Johns Hopkins and Post University. And so stay tuned for 36 North Main Street. We're not sure. University of Connecticut has severe financial fiscal issues going on now, as most colleges and universities do. So there's no opportunity in the immediate future for that, for them to go into 36 North Main. We're not sure about Post University, and we're going to probably won't have any idea about what's going to happen with Post for at least a couple more months. But we're very optimistic. Post still has an enormous commitment to the city of Waterbury and downtown Waterbury. But there's so many moving parts now going on. And as you know, Post is, they went completely virtual with their campus. There's no students on their campus up at the Country Club Road location. So things are a little bit different for Post. And obviously we're all hopeful that all these schools get back online, back in person in January. And that's a big question mark. So sorry? It's 20 minutes. Okay, so we're 20 minutes into it, and that's Mac just gave me my timeline. But quickly, I want to let you know from where the city is fiscally, and then take any questions you have. So we're doing pretty well. Our tax collections, we were worried about because we all know the impacts that COVID has had on our residents and the unemployment. But the people of Waterbury continue to amaze me. They're paying their taxes. They're paying their taxes on time, and our collection rate went really, really well for the last half of fiscal year 20, and you know we're really moving in a really good direction. And as far as revenue goes, our big question mark will be, you know, what is the state of Connecticut going to do with us in the next biennial budget? Governor Lamont has kept all the funding in place, despite the fact that the state is you know, suffered some significant financial hardships because of COVID, and we're grateful for that. You know, those mid-year biennial budget cuts and a few years ago really impacted us in a negative way. We are working very closely with the governor on many different issues. We have a seat at the table on almost everything, and we're happy and we're proud of that accomplishment. So I believe we're operating very conservatively. We have hiring freezes, we have overtime freezes, we have everything going on in that regard. We have a pretty robust rainy day fund just in case that we've been building upon for quite a while. So I'm not telling you that we're out of the woods by any stretch of the imagination, but what I am telling you is that we're prepared for every scenario, and we will continue to operate in a very conservative way until we see the light at the end of this COVID tunnel. So with that, I'll turn it over to you guys, and please feel free to ask any questions that you'd like to, or provide any comment you'd like to.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, let me again thank you for your detailed update on everything going on with the city, from COVID to the economic issues. We appreciate that. Well, we've got a number of questions that have been submitted, and you almost preempted, I think, the first one, but I'm going to ask it anyway. And again, we've got some coming in as well, live via the chat. But I'll pitch you this one because you kind of touched on it a minute ago. How has the recently closed annual budget been affected by COVID-19 in terms of approved spending and expected tax revenue? What areas of the budget have been most impacted?
So we were really lucky with the recently closed budget. We collected 97% of our tax revenue, which is amazing. Really amazing. You know, I meet frequently with the other cities and towns in Connecticut, and they really couldn't believe it when I told them what our numbers were. And That's an amazing thing to me with these residents of Waterbury. I mean, it's just amazing. So we ended the year with a $3.6 million surplus. Some of that money we're going to put away for just in case, for a rainy fund. You know, there are some restrictions on how much we can put into our rainy day fund because of our bond obligations, but you know, we're figuring that out. And like I said just a minute ago, we are in a good place. I really, you know, Donnie, the big thing that I'm concerned about is, you know, what's the governor, you know, the city of Waterbury gets 65% of our revenue comes from tax collections and 35% comes in the form of municipal aid from the state of Connecticut. I'm a little bit nervous about the municipal aid side of the equation. Our budget's $420 million. And so 35% of that is quite a big number. But, you know, we do have an enormously big school district, and the majority of the state aid that we get goes toward education. And I know that that'll be the very last thing on the governor's list of things to, you know, to reduce or, you know, impact. So I try to be the ever optimistic guy. I think that we'll be able to work and navigate through the budget process. Obviously, the last thing that I intend to do, and I haven't done it in over 5 years, is raise taxes. And I have no intention of raising taxes because our taxes are too high already. But with all of the things that continue to come on to the grand list, you know, we've been able to really, you know, hold the line on any tax increases. And I know how important that is to all of you. And we are taking every available step and measure to make sure that we don't raise the mill rate. And so, you know, stay tuned on that.
Well, we certainly appreciate that news, Mr. Mayor. That's for sure. So thank you for sharing that with us. Next question, Mr. Mayor. What is the status of the brownfield projects in the city? Also, what are your thoughts on the legislation updating the Transfer Act in the recent special session?
So we had a big press conference yesterday. Governor Lamont came down to Waterbury along with Commissioner Lehman and Commissioner Dykes. Lehman is DECD and Dykes is DEEP, Department of Environmental Protection. And they pick Waterbury frequently for their press conferences because we have very successful brownfield remediation programs here. We were down at the unmet site, and you know, here's how I feel about it. You know, we're one of 2 states left in the country who still have a Transfer Act, and it's onerous, and it really impedes private developers from coming into a city like Waterbury to remediate a brownfield site and then get it back on the tax rolls, because there's just way too much bureaucracy, too many restrictions. And so, you know, Connecticut, if the legislation passes, I think it's up for a vote tomorrow, you know, we're going to sunset the Transfer Act, which is a welcome move on for me, because it'll streamline some of the brownfield remediation opportunities for us. And it could very well open the doors, like it has in Massachusetts and New York, for private development of these sites, instead of always using state of Connecticut tax money to do these remediations. So the good news is that for those that are a little bit nervous about it, the Transfer Act won't officially sunset until all of the layers of, I call them bureaucracy. They don't like it when I say that, but until all the layers of protection for the sites will be in place. So in actuality, we'll probably sunset the Transfer Act in 1.5 years or 2 years, but it's a step in the forward direction for economic development opportunities of these brownfield sites. As you well know, our manufacturing legacy here in the city of Waterbury left us with these incredible, costly, and unsightly and polluted areas. But if you look at Waterbury Industrial Commons, or you look at Pal Park, or you look at the Matico property out there that Joey Yaman redeveloped, and you know, I mean, there's plenty of good stories that have been told here from environmental remediation projects, and also enormous grand list growth and also job opportunities. So anything that makes it easier to develop these sites, we welcome. And sunsetting the Transfer Act is a welcome, in my opinion, is very welcoming to us for future development. So,
Yeah, I would certainly agree with you. We've certainly seen some of the worst of it, but we've also been the proponents of some of the best of it. So congratulations on those fronts, that's for sure.
thanks. And I'll just give you an update to all of you. I talked a little bit about 130 Freight Street. I just can't wait to take that building down. Honestly, it's just, if you were to drive in the back of that building, you would not believe it. Honestly, you wouldn't believe it. And COVID has really slowed that down, but we're still, the money's in place. Once we close on it, we're going to start taking it down and make it safe. 313 Mill Street is where the former Nova Dye company is. We just got funding by the state of Connecticut. We're going to build a really nice Little League field down there. You know, it's a great location for the field because it's right next to the South End Rec Center. And, you know, the South End of Waterbury has been a neglected area for so many decades, and the kids really don't have a park down there. So we're going to build a baseball field for them. 909 Bank Street, I talked about, that's where we're going to put just a pocket park. And, you know, the big brownfields that I'm really looking forward to finishing over the next year and two is the 17-acre site at Unmet that you've heard me refer to already, as well as Risden Manufacturing down on South Main Street. And so we're, you know, we've got so much work, so much happening, so many good things are going on, and I feel really good about where we're going.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next question. What is the status of the street projects in the city, especially downtown, and of the effort to upgrade the city's water pipe infrastructure? I know you mentioned that earlier, but maybe you can give us a little bit more detail on that.
Sure. So I mentioned the East Main Street corridor, which right now is, I'd avoid if I were you because it's a mess, and it's going to be a mess through the winter. But it's on, but we're moving forward. It's not on schedule because of the issues that I spoke of, but we'll have the underground work will be done before winter. And then we'll do the above ground work, which is going to be really exciting as soon as the spring comes. So the underground work is going to be the streetscape project that we spoke about, which is going to bring us new sidewalks, new paving, lighting, cameras, benches, trash and recycle receptacles, shelters for the buses. So we're pretty excited about that with street plannings. Now, our next step in the downtown revitalization streetscape projects is South Main Street and also Bank Street. Now, Bank Street, you know, that's that infrastructure in the ground isn't as old in some areas as what I described on East Main Street. So I have money that I was able to get through our COG to do the above ground work for Bank Street and South Main Street. But the money that we had hoped to get from the federal government and a grant application for the underground work did not get approved. So that's a work in progress. So we're not really sure, but we've got a lot of time left on that because it's going to take us all of the spring and probably summer to finish the East Main Street side. So we're going to be trying to figure out alternative funding for South Main Street and Bank Street. So that's where that's at, Don.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Moving along, many businesses continue to struggle due to the pandemic, and additional financial aid appears to be stalled in Congress before the election. What can the state and/or city do to help businesses survive, especially if there is a resurgence of the virus in the fall or the winter?
That's a great question and a tricky one, too. So the city planning department has closely followed the governor's executive orders, and the planning department does all they can to accommodate the businesses. But policies are ultimately governed by the state order. Executive Order 7MM, issued in May by the governor, suspended certain local zoning requirements, which made it easier for us to help accommodate our businesses, especially our restaurant owners. Currently, we've issued 30 outdoor dining permits at no charge to our restaurant owners, and you know, some of them have been really creative on setting up tents. For instance, now the weather is getting colder. Brass City Bistro is just one business that put up a beautiful tent with sides and heat and lights, and it's really nice out there, to be honest with you. Not sure how it'll be in December and January, but right now it's doable. But as you can see, as you drive around the city, you know, we've accommodated through our planning, zoning, and health department trying to be creative in ways that they can do more in expanded outdoor dining. And just about every restaurant has come up with some kind of an idea. And we're very supportive of that and trying to work closely with them. And we're not charging them any permitting fees or anything like that. But look, I'm a little bit nervous about it. Some of our strongest restaurants in the city have seen, up to 50% reduction in their revenue. And that they're some of our biggest employers. And, fingers crossed that, if COVID comes back for round two, let's hope that, all the policies that are in place, such as social distancing, the masks, will keep the infection rate, at a manageable level, so the governor, doesn't feel like he's got to close things up again. As you know, our bars are still closed. And, I don't know how these people are hanging on, I'll be honest with you. And we're trying to figure out, ways that we can support them. We still have some low interest loan rates that may be available, and I say may be available through Waterbury Development Corporation. But before COVID even happened, we were moving away from financing restaurants and food establishments because of the risk involved. So, it's all a work in progress. I tell everybody around here every single day, every day is fluid. Yesterday is going to look like tomorrow, and, we've got to be flexible, and we've got to recognize that, we've got to support any business that's been impacted by COVID in any way that we can. And we are doing that. We really are. But, it's a wait and see. I don't want to set up any alarms. I don't think there's any reason to get people any more anxious than they are already. And as you know, the governor has expanded the restaurant dining experience to 75%, and we'll see how that goes. And of course, there is talk of like the Palace Theater. There is opportunity now for social distancing and so on and so forth. And try to get the Palace Theater, which holds, I think, around 2,100 people, if my memory serves me right. We're trying to get them up to like 500 or 600 or 700 so that they can at least do some shows in there to generate some revenue. But, I honestly think we just gotta be very patient and try to move forward. Every day is going to look a little bit different, but again, I'm very, very comfortable that we're ready to handle anything that comes our way. Just hoping that whatever does come our way is nothing like what we experienced in March and April.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a question, actually, it's not come in. We got a couple of similar questions coming off the chat today. Have you heard anything from the state or anyone else about a potential vaccine date? I know the CDC recently, last month, had said that, get the states ready to at least prepare to roll out a vaccine November 1st. I mean, is the state giving you any heads up as to a potential rollout of a vaccine? Any positive signs there? I mean, have you seen anything that we could hold our hat on?
No, honestly, that's the answer. I know that there are some companies that have said that they're in phase 3 of the vaccination manufacturing process, and trying to get all the data they can to get the appropriate approvals. And so the way I look at it, and believe me, I am not an expert in this, and this is what I'm just relaying what I've read. If we were lucky enough to have 1 or 2 companies to come up with a successful vaccine, we have to then manufacture it. And so one vaccine that's very, very close, I'm told, is a vaccine that's got to be kept at a temperature below 50 degrees. So that's going to present a lot of issues and problems. But another company's got a vaccine that doesn't have any temperature restriction on it. And I'm hoping that one gets done quicker, because I think it'll be easier to distribute after it's manufactured. So, listen, we're already into the end of September, guys, for all practical purposes. We're into October. So would I like to see a vaccine before the end of the year? I sure would. Unfortunately, it's been so politicized. Nobody knows who to believe, what to believe, or what's happening. But at the end of the day, I'm hopeful that we'll have a vaccine I think Dr. Fauci might be the most credible one left down there. After last night's debate, I don't know. But having said that, he's talking about the first quarter of 21. Seems to me that he's been most consistent with his predictions. And so if it's the first quarter of 21, which will be January, February, March, by the time it's distributed and people feel comfortable taking it, we're going to be into the second quarter of 21 and the third quarter. So, we just got to hope and pray that, I think once a vaccine comes, the psychological impact on everybody will be dramatic. And I think it'll be good news for everyone. Whether they want to take the vaccine or not is up to them. But, that's all I can tell you about the vaccine.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that candid response. Next question. What do you believe are the most pressing unmet needs in the city because of the pandemic, and how is the city responding to them?
So we talked a little bit about the basic needs response that we've been doing since March 11th. And of course, that's the basic needs are right. Food, groceries, supplies, formula, diapers, clothing. I'm really proud of United Way and Connecticut Community Foundation and our other nonprofits who have band together. I was told at a meeting this morning that, we raised United Way and their efforts have raised about $550,000 to address these needs for these folks. And, that's an amazing thing, right? It's not just Waterbury, by the way. Some of this is a regional approach. I think that I'm really proud of the fact, I say this every time I go to a big city meeting in Connecticut, we don't have Yale, by the way, which is enormously generous to the New Haven area. We don't have the insurance industry that Hartford enjoys so much. We've got us, and we always find a way to get it done. We've got our 2 hospitals that have been very generous. We've got, our corporate community, Webster Bank, of course. Our other banks have been enormously supportive. Our manufacturing community has been supportive. By the way, members of our manufacturing community who won't let me identify them were amazing at getting us PPE when we were as low on PPE as anybody could be. They got us PPE for our first responders and hospitals through their contacts in other countries. So, we just do what we do here. We band together, we close the door, we figure out solutions, and we get it done. And I think we met our basic needs, and we continue to meet them. And I think that we have the wherewithal to continue to meet them, especially if we have a significant round 2 COVID. The one thing I would ask from our business community and all of you is that you continue to try to find ways to support the efforts of the United Way, because that money filters down through to the nonprofits and to all the volunteers who are making the efforts to get the basic needs out to our community. LeBon's over there in Watertown, it's been amazing, as well as ShopRite up on Wolcott Street. They have been, those 2 owners of those stores have been amazing and helping our community, especially our underserved infected community, make it through. So that's what I got there. I mean, I know that you're all struggling because of COVID and you're all feeling the pain of COVID. But if you can find a way to support the United Way in any way, even the smallest way would be very significant for all of us.
Excellent point, Mr. Meyer. Thank you. Next question. Is the city aware of anything that may be happening with the Chase Collegiate property? And what would you prefer to happen there? Can the city try to champion turning Chase into a charter high school or a STEM high school? One of the 2.
That's a heck of a question. But okay, so the update on Chase now, as you saw, Woodbury Ballet announced that they're renting a portion of the property. Look, at the end of the day, it's our strong opinion that the company that owns Chase School is looking to sell it, but they're not looking to give it away. They paid, I think, around $8 or $9 million for it when they bought it. They have a strong interest in China. You know, I thought it was a shame how they closed that school and left those students high and dry. And we worked with every Waterbury family to get them placed into a school. And, you know, we were able to do that. Having said that, there's a lot of anxiety there. What does Chase School look like down the road? Well, you know, I'm certain that they're going to sell it. What they want for it, though, is not pennies on the dollar, quite frankly. They haven't put a price tag on it yet, but I can tell you that it's going to be they're going to be looking for more than what they paid for it. At least that's what I'm told for those people who seem to be in the know. Having said that, of course, I'd love to see a charter high school or a STEM school there. But you know, and by the way, everything's on the table. You know, but it's just it would be a significant financial burden or cost to the city of Waterbury to put a charter school on that property. But I can tell you, you know, a STEM school, a charter school, any kind of school is what I would like to see there. An education facility. I know that there's people that are looking, and I don't have the permission to name any of the people who are in the education related field who are looking at the property and thinking out of the box about, you know, ways to keep it an education facility. So it's a work in progress. You know, I live up in that neighborhood. My neighbors ask me every day what's going to happen with Chase. And I'm telling them the same thing I'm telling you. There's not a lot of information out there just yet. But at the end of the day, that would be my hope, that it would stay an education facility. You know, some people, the rumor mill in Waterbury is always amazing. And, you know, some people have said they heard that there's going to be retail stores going in there. And that's a pretty big rumor. There's not a lot of retail big box store building going on these days. So, you know, I don't think Amazon is looking at the property, but that would be an issue as well. But at the end of the day, it's a work in progress, but I will keep you as informed as I can, all of you, on what's happening with that school, okay?
We appreciate that, Mr. Mayor. I know we're running a little long time. We get time for maybe a couple more questions. Next question is, new rail cars for Waterbury line were not included in the bonding this year. What are your expectations for when the city line will receive the rail cars needed to increase and improve service?
So I'm really excited about the rail line improvements. There will be life after COVID, and there will be people on trains again. The good news about COVID is they shut down the rail line completely because of the low ridership, and the resignalization project the $120 million resignalization project that we started 3 years ago, or 4 years ago with the support of the Malloy administration, honestly, is due to be completed sometime in April or May of 21, which is really cool because the resignalization project, for those of you that don't know, it's a single track between Waterbury and Torrington. So you can't run a southbound train and a northbound train at the same time under the current condition of the track. However, the Department of Transportation did a study that we asked for when we first came into office in 2011. And as a result of that study, the state of Connecticut funded the $120 million project for the resignalization, which will in fact put four separate sidings on that line, which means that when the northbound train is coming our way, the southbound train can leave to Bridgeport, and one of them can turn off into the siding and let the other one go by and then get back on the track. So that's huge because that'll enable us to quadruple and even more the ridership. What's also huge is that under the current condition of the track, you can only use it to transport freight a couple of hours a day because, you know, it's a single track line and there's a lot of federal guidelines with that. Once we get the track open and running in April of 21, we'll be able to run freight on a regular basis, which is going to be a huge boom for our community. We believe our manufacturing community all through the valley, and we're excited about that. Now, the cars got political. I'm sure that's a big surprise to all of you. But the car issue got political. Up in Hartford, there was a back and forth between the current administration and the minority caucus up there. As a result, many thought that the cars were going to be part of the budget, the state's budget request, and they weren't. And a lot of folks took exception to that. Let me just say this. I can tell you right now, I've met with the governor and I met with the commissioner of DOT, a guy named Joe Giletti, who I really enjoy working with. And we have plenty of good plans to put cars on that line once it's reopened. And of course, you know, I have the word of both of those individuals that there will be ample cars to run that line. And I believe them because we've already invested the $120 million. Let me tell you what a rail car costs. The new rail car costs $5 million, one car. And so, you know, the Shoreline East rail line is very, very busy, as you all know. Those cars, some of them are new, or excuse me, some of those are used, but they're in really good shape. And our travel between here and Bridgeport is about 30 minutes. And, you know, I'm not afraid to take a used car or other cars. We don't, you know, I wasn't so upset about not getting $5 million each cars on our line for a 28-minute ride. So Pete Hess, the mayor of Naugatuck, and I and other members of the delegation through the valley have worked with the governor and the commissioner, and we feel very comfortable, Don, that we're going to have the cars that are necessary for our commuters. And you know, we're really excited about that opportunity because, as you guys know, particularly here in Waterbury, we've had a number of hundreds of new families that have come into the city, moved into the city from New York because of COVID. And these are families who have children in the school district. They have, you know, good paying jobs. They are commuting to New York maybe once a week and virtually working the rest of the week. So it's been really interesting to see the number of New York families that have moved into Waterbury since March, and they continue to move in. Real estate in Waterbury now is extraordinary, extraordinarily hot. Houses are selling, you know, after being on the market for 3 and 4 days. So, and even now it's still continuing. And I believe if there is a phase 2 COVID, that'll just continue to propel the market in Waterbury and the Waterbury region.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we have time for one last question, then we'll wrap it up. Is there anything the business community in Waterbury can do to help the city and the region receive federal relief funding from the state?
Well, you know, the National CARES Act and other initiatives of Washington, D.C. have really helped out a lot of our small business owners and our restaurant owners through the PPP programs and other opportunities. Look, I would stay in very close touch with our federal delegation. Both Blumenthal, Senator Blumenthal and Murphy have been in Waterbury on many occasions since COVID and have been very, very supportive, as well as Congresswoman Hayes. You know, they're working on the, you know, there are other plans that are, you know, somewhere in the political process to provide additional support. And as a business community, I would just, and I know Lynn does this now as the head of the chamber, you know, I would just keep a close eye on the areas that we think would be most impactful for Waterbury and Waterbury's region, and then reinforce that through, you know, our federal delegation. And of course, the city is, you know, one of the things I'm really grateful for is the communication that we have between the city, our state delegation, our federal delegation. So it's probably the best I've seen it in 40 years. And quite frankly, I feel really confident that it'll stay that way for several years to come. So let's just, you know, listen to each other and try to work together for the good of the cause. And I think we're doing the best we can, and I think we will see additional support come out of Washington. But right now, it's all caught up in probably because of the upcoming election. There's a lot, as you well know, there's a lot of politics on both sides of that coin.
No doubt, no doubt, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, let me just again thank you very much for your time today. We know you've got an incredibly busy schedule that you're going through, and every time you join us, it's very informative and very insightful. Thank you again. I'm going to turn it over to Lynn at this point. But Mr. Mayor, thank you again for your time today.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you, Chairman Don McPartland and Mayor O'Leary, for being here today. And for everyone that's in the audience, we really appreciate your time and your involvement in our Waterbury Regional Chamber. Special thanks to Bill Tomaso and TBI Construction. We really value your involvement in the Chamber and your sponsorship of today's event. So as we always say at the Chamber, please stay in touch with us. If there's anything that you need to help your business grow, or just maintain your business, please reach out to us. We have a number of programs that are coming up, and to the mayor's point just a moment ago, we will be having a congressional debate. So we will be in close contact with our congressional representative, Johanna Hayes, and the Republican nominee, David Sullivan. So we encourage you all to participate in that event by signing on through Zoom. There's a screen up now talking about some of the other upcoming events. So again, thank you to the mayor. Thank you to Don, our terrific chairman, and thank you all for being here. Have a great afternoon, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.